Tonight we set our sights on the sea and the man now at the helm of the Royal Bahamas Defence Force. As the 9th Commander of the RBDF, Commodore Floyd P. Moxey takes on the weighty responsibility of protecting our borders, safeguarding our people, and leading a force built on discipline, service, and sacrifice. We'll chart his journey through the ranks the moment he got the call to take command and the vision he brings to the nation's premier maritime security force. You're watching On the Record. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. Stay tuned as we get started on the other side of this break. Welcome back to On the Record. With us tonight is the 9th Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defence Force, Commodore Floyd P. Moxey. In this segment, we'll learn about the man behind the uniform and his path to command. Welcome to the show, Commodore. Glad to have you with us tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Sawyer. Good evening, Bahamas.
So listen, we want to spend, as I said, this segment talking a little bit about you and your role in the Defence Force. First of all, what inspired you to join the Defence Force?
Well, Mr. Sawyer, back in, I would say, 1982, I was in the graduating class at the College of the Bahamas studying electronics and radio communications. And the Defence Force sent a young acting sub-lieutenant as a recruiting officer to us, and that was acting sub-lieutenant Davy Rule, who apparently went on to become commander of the Defence Force. And he was just back from England as a young acting sub-lieutenant, and he advised our graduating class that the Defence Force was new. It was just basically implemented in 1980, and that it was going to be a rewarding career. The Defence Force was looking for persons with engineering, technology background, and he encouraged us to come and join. I bought into that, and I found myself in the next entry, new entry 11, as a recruit in the Royal Bahamas Defence Force.
And here you are today.
Here I am today.
What were those early days like? You joined, you learned about obviously joining in 1982, 2 years after the establishment, and you came in at an early time in the Defence Force. What were those days like entering this institution that was still new, even new to the Bahamas itself? Yes,
I joined in 1982, and that was in the height of the drug era, and I joined as an electronic engineer on the boat, maintaining the radars and the radio. But at that time, you had to be, there were multiple disciplines. I also performed the job as a seaman as well. And so I spent a lot of time at sea during those early days, sailing on we had Mark 1 and Mark 2 60-foot patrol craft. We later acquired the 108 feet patrol craft. I had the opportunity to sail on all of those craft, enforcing the fishery laws of the Bahamas, enforcing the drug laws of the Bahamas. And I spent a great number of days at sea during my early career in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
You have seen a lot of changes, obviously, from 1982 to now. What are some of the things that stand out most to you? And rightfully so. You mentioned that you entered during the height of the drug era in the Bahamas. I think a lot of people forget what that time was like. I am old enough to remember, although I was young at the time. But what are some of the things that you remember the most in your tenure?
Well, back in those days, the Bahamas was being used as a transshipment point for drugs, and so we had to conduct a lot of key searches. And marijuana mainly was the drug of choice.
Really?
And they were coming into the country in large quantity, large amount. We were intercepting a ship with hundreds and thousands bales of marijuana back then. Today, that have basically changed. Poison, you're not seeing the smugglers basically use the sea lanes now. They're using aircraft and air routes to move drugs.
And in that period, I mean, over these periods, what are some of the things that stood out to you? We started talking about drugs, but like, for instance, what were some of the times, in your career that you were most proud of, or things that you were a part of in the Defense Force that stand out to you?
Well, in the Defense Force, I was able to see the modernization of the Defense Force. I joined the Defense Force at a time when we navigated using what we call as LORAN C. And then we move on to global positioning satellites.
So what was the first method you talked about? Describe that to me.
Well, it was a kind of antiquated system of navigation. The LORAN C, it was basically unreliable. You got good signal if you were in the northern Bahamas because they use, it was an American system that they use radio waves. And so as we progress and move on to GPS, which was satellite, so the navigation became more reliable, it became more effective. And then we were able to use tracking system on our ships as well as the satellite navigation improved, so that we were able to give fair determination as to where our patrol craft were located, and that assists us with the Operation Boss planning patrols.
Definitely a lot more efficient. How did you find out that you were selected as the 9th commander of the Defense Force?
Well, obviously I got a call to attend a meeting at the OPM, the Office of the Prime Minister, by the PS, and they told me that I was shortlisted. A few months later, other persons were shortlisted as well.
Did you expect that you'd be on that list?
Well, I was a captain in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and I basically thought that I should have been within striking range. Okay.
So it wasn't a complete surprise.
No, it wasn't a complete surprise.
All right. In that moment, or I guess after you received the news that you had been shortlisted, what was going through your mind? What were you thinking? You think, I have a real shot, or you were, what was that like?
Yeah, and then I start to look at the command team.
Okay.
I said that if I am selected as the Commodore of the Defense Force, would I have a choice in selecting the persons that will serve as my side, as the deputy, who would help me to advance my agenda, my goal for moving this organization forward.
And did you get that opportunity?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Basically, I think so.
What was the reaction of your family? Because now this has become a very high-profile role. It's going to be a lot more demanding. What was that reaction like?
My family was supportive. They realized that I was a career military professional. They realized that I have a passion for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. I spent all my life there. They realized that I was going to be in the public eye, and they said to me, in the public eye, you just have to have a tough skin.
And here you are in the public's eye. On your first day as Commodore, what were some of your immediate priorities as you received the posting, as you received the command? What were some of the things that you were set on from day one, that these are the things I want to accomplish in this role?
Okay, so on day one, and I just want to step back a minute.
Sure.
The mandate of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is the defense of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, to patrol the waters of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and to assist in times of natural disasters. And so, to me, I am saying, how will we accomplish this mandate? We have 100,000 square miles of water. And the way to accomplish this mandate is that you have to have an operational surface asset, and you have to have eyes in the sky, air assets. So my first consideration was the fleet, the operation of the fleet. And that fleet have to be at an operational capacity to allow the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to accomplish this mandate, which is to patrol the waters of the Bahamas and to defend the Bahamas. And that is what I was laser focused on from day one, ensuring that we get the fleet up to operational capacity to achieve that mandate. However, the fleet that we had, we acquired it under the Sandy Bottom project. We worked that fleet hard. We ran that fleet hard. The fleet accomplished its goal. It was successful. But I met it at a state where it needed refit, to the point where the engineering officers are saying to me, we did an assessment that we needed $29 million to bring the fleet back to operational capacity.
You said 29 million?
$29 million.
Okay.
And so,
I just want to be clear on that about. Okay.
to bring the fleet to operational capacity. And so we went to the cabinet through the minister, and they gave us a commitment, because I think they understand that if we are going to be successful, we have to have the fleet up and running. And so last week we were able to sign letters of intent to ensure that our disaster and recovery ship, the Lawrence Major, is properly docked and refitted at the end of this hurricane season.
Okay.
2 of our offshore patrol class vessel that had suffered grounding in 2017 and 2020, we signed a letter of intent with the original manufacturer of these vessels to have them return to the Netherlands so that they can be repaired. And that is the Cascarilla and the HMBS Eddie Hanna. And so I am laser focused on ensuring that the fleet is operating at its maximum capacity so that we can achieve and accomplish the mandate that I spoke about earlier.
So of that 29 million, does that represent just work on those 3 ships, or does it include other things as well?
It includes, you would recall that under the Sandy Bottom project, we acquired 9 ships. And those ships should have been dry docked at the end of 2.5 to 3 years. And we are now at the 10-year mark, where those vessels have to be refitted. And so we intend to refit HMBS LL Smith and HMBS Raleigh Gray out of that $29 million. We just had returned to us the HMBS David Knowles, and she had a dry docking. So we have her back in the fight.
I spent time on the David Knowles, so I know that ship as well. So, listening to this, listening to, the fact that you are laser focused on ensuring the fleet is up to capacity to be able to do these things, that is a huge undertaking. And while that is happening, or while you are petitioning the cabinet for these things, there are other works within the Defense Force that must carry on, correct?
Yes. But so we have our 30-meter patrol craft that we are relying on heavily to enforce the fishing laws on the Great Bahama Bank, to deal with migrant smuggling in the southern Bahamas. And we also have the 42-meter patrol craft that we just got back from dry docking. So our operation, we are still able to do what we need to do. And we just acquired 4 safe boats that we use as interceptors. And they have a long range as well.
Understanding and listening to you, understanding the state that you met the Defense Force in terms of the state of its fleet, and realizing all of the work that needed to be done, and the how that was affecting the ability of your Marines to carry out their regular duties. How are you maintaining discipline and morale in the face of all of this? Because the reality is, if you don't have the tools that you need, the effective tools to do your work, you cannot always function as you need to function. But how are you keeping the morale up and maintaining that level of discipline that's needed to do what you do?
No, but we have enough surface assets to accomplish the mandate at hand. It's just that we need, and we have been given an undertaking, that we will have the funding to bring the fleet up to its 80 to 90, 100% operability.
What percentage would you say you're at now?
Maybe we are 75 to 80%.
Okay. So you got about another 10% or so. So to go, and that's encouraging news. What have been your past experience, or what has been the experience thus far, other than trying to get the fleet up to standard and to get the patrol craft, etc., where you need them? But what has been the experience thus far in office for you?
The experience has been rewarding.
Okay.
And morale. My job is to ensure that the morale of the officers and the Marines are heightened. We have to ensure that we maintain discipline. Discipline is the hallmark of any military. And if you lose discipline, then you become an ordinary citizen. So you always have to maintain your military bearing and keep that morale high, and that is what I'm achieving.
How would you say your career since 1982 to now has been preparing you for this particular role? Obviously coming up through the ranks, being on the Defense Force for all these years, experiencing the Defense Force under the command and leadership of others. How have your experiences been preparing you for this role?
Okay. So as an officer in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, we have a divisional officer system. And this divisional officer system naturally prepares you for command. I serve in the role as a base first lieutenant. I serve in the role as a base executive officer, where I adjudicated on disciplinary matters. I also serve as the role as aids to navigation officer, and I serve as staff officer legal affairs, in which I advise Commander Defense Force on legal matters. I was also seconded to the Office of the Attorney General for 6 years, where I work in the International Legal Cooperation unit of the Office of the Attorney General. And that is the unit that manage and facilitate legal requests from international agencies and government. And I had the opportunity to practice in international child abduction under the Hague Convention and mutual legal assistance treaties. I also practice in the criminal court at the Office of the Attorney General as a Crown prosecutor in murder, armed robbery. And all of that prepared me for this leadership role in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. But when I returned to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force in 2017, I served as the base executive officer, where I was responsible for adjudicating on disciplinary matters and hearing cases. And I was able to bring that experience as a prosecutor from the AG office into the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to help us to grow our military judicial system and to start the process of trying to implement our court-martial system that we never practiced. And we are adhering to doing that now.
So why is that important? Why is that particular aspect so important to the Defense Force?
The court-martial system, it will ensure that officers and Marines are held accountable for their actions and ensure that we maintain discipline across the ranks and the rates of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Interesting, and I'm sure the members of the public, in hearing that, feel a bit relieved, knowing that there is an internal system to deal with these matters. Because sometimes for those of us outside, who are the outsiders looking in, we're not always quite sure what happens when there are these disciplinary matters that come up. And any timeline on when that will be fully implemented?
I am hoping to see the court-martial system fully implemented by the end of the year. And in fact, in Coral Harbour now, Captain Sean Adley, who is the Staff Officer Legal Affairs, he is running seminars, training on the court-martial system. And that is something that we definitely will see come to fruition within a few months. And the court-martial system will give us the ability to hold our people accountable for infraction, all infraction, with the exception of sexual offenses matter and murder. The only exception being that if the murder was committed on one of our ships, then we will have jurisdiction to hear those matters as well, according to our Defense Act. And we fully intend to employ and implement that Defense Act, the Rules of Procedure 2, which give us the ability to hear these matters.
And I just want to clarify for our audience that this is not something that is unique to the Defense Force. Does this happen in other military operations around the world? Are there similar court-martial systems?
Yeah, there are court-martial systems in the region. There's a fully functional system in Barbados. Our judicial team went to Barbados to understudy to view that system. Their system in Trinidad. We had officers from Trinidad. They came here, assist us with the development of that court-martial system as well.
All right, Commodore, one of the things I enjoy about this show is I always get to learn something and find out something new, and I think just now you being able to share that shed a lot of light, I think, on the progress that you are making in the defense force. But for the benefit of our audience, when we return, we will update on key operations, address some recent controversies, and discuss the legacy of the Commodore, the legacy that he hopes to leave behind. This is On the Record. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. From regional security missions to national protection, we are still here with Commodore Floyd Moxey, and thank you for sticking with us. Sir, I want to pivot to some of your more public-facing programs. The Rangers incident in Eleuthera recently has dominated the news cycle. How did the Defense Force respond to these allegations initially?
Okay, I will say, first of all, just let me give a disclaimer. I know the matter is before the court, and so I don't want to prejudice the matter. Because as a prosecutor, I know that you have to ensure that the victims, that, you take care of the victim, but you also have to be fair, ensure that the accused is given a fair trial. So I don't want to say anything that may prejudice him.
And we appreciate that, yes.
Okay. So moving right along.
Yeah.
Once I heard of the allegation, this allegation emanated out of Grand Bahama, and I immediately deployed my intelligence officer to Grand Bahama to do an investigation. He reported back to New Providence. The information was disturbing. They were frustrating. And they were at the point where we had to get the police involved to conduct an investigation.
And that matter is, as you said, before the court, and so we of course, will do the responsible thing by not discussing it, but sorry.
But what I did, I took decisive action.
Yeah, which was going to be my next question, yes.
I took decisive action. I took deliberate action. And I convened a board of inquiry to determine what and if any impropriety took place at that summer camp in Eleuthera. What were the protocols that are in place? Whether those protocols were followed or whether they were violated. What happened to the leadership? And this is what I asked the Board of Inquiry to look into. And I expect them to have a report to me by the end of business day on Friday. The Board of Inquiry was meeting for the past 2 weeks.
And if you can, what then happens to that information that you receive? Is that made public, or is that used for you to change internal protocols, or what happens once that information is presented to you?
Once that information is presented to me, the board makes recommendation as to whether there were any systemic breach in the whole program, whether there need to be leadership change in the program. And they are the things that we are looking for and that we would address. Whether the report is made public or not is something that I will discuss with the ministry.
Okay, and this is Ministry of National Security?
Ministry of National
Okay.
Security.
The other question I have, and we're going to move on from this, is how do you anticipate this will impact the entire program? The Rangers program has been with the Defense Force for quite some time. It has been a feeder program in some instances for officers joining the Defense Force. It has been a program where a lot of young people have gotten some important life lessons. How do you anticipate this will affect that program going forward? And do you plan to continue with the program?
Yes, we will continue with the program. The Ranger program is a long-standing program that has been with the Defense Force since 1995. It was implemented by Commodore Davy Roll. It is responsible for teaching young men and women discipline, core value of honor, respect, devotion to duty. It has produced leaders in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. It has produced leaders for the police force. And it is a program that is beneficial to the country. It must not fail. We will not let it fail. Where there were missteps, we will correct those missteps. And we will move forward and ensure that the program continue to be a program that the Defense Force can be proud of and that the Bahamian public can be proud of.
An important reassurance to the public, I have to say, and thank you for sharing that with us. Of course, we have to allow the matter to play out in court, and whatever that decision is will come to the public. I want to move now forward to another mission involving the Defense Force, and that is those officers who have been deployed to Haiti. There is a mission to Haiti. I would like for you to tell us a little bit about the status of that mission.
So presently we have in Haiti in leadership role as part of the multi-mission security support mission MSSM. We have 3 officers and they're serving in leadership role, as I said. We have a commander who's advising on human resources matter. We have a lieutenant commander who's assisting with policy and discipline in Haiti. And we have a senior lieutenant who is assisting, and he is an advisor on maritime affairs. We in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, we pride ourselves on having the best little navy in the region. And so we are the lead in maritime law enforcement in the region. And we are sharing that knowledge with our Haitian partners.
And, you know, we watch the stories in Haiti of the escalating violence. We see the danger that is present there on a day-to-day basis. And how do you respond to those concerns about the safety of our Bahamian Marines who are deployed there?
The officers that are in Haiti now are not in combat role. They are secure, they are advisors. And so the Bahamian public need not fear. They are safe. I am in touch with them on a weekly basis, sometime on a daily basis. We take their welfare, their well-being seriously. And I'm satisfied that they are safe.
Just looking in the future, any plans to deploy any more officers as a part of a multinational force, or are those 3 it for now?
No, we'll be guided by the government of the Bahamas.
Okay.
We are constantly training to ensure that if we are called upon to assist, that we will have the manpower to do so. But what I will say, how we are assisting Haiti as well is with training. They acquired 4 safe boats, and so we have made an offer to the Haitian government to train their Coast Guard in the operation of those safe boats. They have accepted, and we expect a crew from Haiti to come to the Bahamas, and they will be trained by our Harbor Patrol Unit under operation of their safe boat. Because, transnational crime has no border. And the region itself is interrelated. And if we can teach the Haitian Coast Guard to protect their shoreline and to interdict their persons from leaving Haiti, then we would have a safer Bahamas. And so we look at that from that perspective.
And so those safe boats, to the best of your knowledge, will be used to help to patrol, to stop some of the
illegals, migrants leaving Haiti. And we will train them on the operations of those safe boats.
Good to hear. So another area I'd like for us to speak to is the ongoing poaching in our waters. The Dominican Republic poachers especially remain an ongoing issue. What strategies are proving effective, or are some of your strategies proving effective in this current age of technology? And I say technology because I know from my own experience that these poachers use technology to be able to do all manner of things in our waters. But what is the strategy? How effective has it been? I know you've talked about the additional resources, but give us an idea of where we are in terms of the poaching problem.
The poaching problem, and that is something that keeps me up at night as well. It is a big problem. I get complaints from Bahamian fishermen. And so we're using technology. We're using the SkyTel satellite almost in real time. And if there are poachers on the bank, they basically let us know exactly where their boats are. We move in and try to interdict them. What we found out, and from credible intelligence, is that the new trend for Dominican poachers is that they may be using safe harbors and safe port in Cuba to avoid being detected. So the mothership that we have been accustomed to seeing on the Great Bahama Bank fishing, we're not seeing that anymore. So they are staying in international waters. They're staying in Cuban waters. And they're deploying their dinghies, small dinghies that are not so easy to detect. And they are running into our waters. And we have been getting cooperation from the Cuban border guard. And like I say, transnational crime has no boundary. The region is interrelated. And so I've requested permission to restart a stalled memorandum of understanding or an agreement with the Cuban border guard that will assist us in intelligence sharing and information sharing that will help us to curb this new trend in poaching.
And that I guess, transnational cooperation, will it allow you to be able to interdict these poachers, or will that be the responsibility of the Cuban Marines?
Maybe the responsibility if it's in Cuban water and we could prove that the fishing take place in our waters, that they will turn them over to us. And that is what we're trying to achieve. And it is my intention to restart a memorandum of understanding with the Dominicans. And sometime in 2014, we started talks on a Navy-to-Navy agreement between the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and the Dominican Navy, where they will assist us in detecting where their fishing fleets are. And so we are going back to the table and see if we can memorialize these talks into a memorandum of understanding or some agreement so that we could stop this illegal fishing in its track once and for all.
All right, and very positive developments. Happy to learn about them. Another area of concern is human smuggling. You talk about transnational crime, and particularly on our waters. Human smuggling continues to be an issue, even in the northern Bahamas. How are you working to combat this, and what efforts are you making in regards to stopping or slowing the issue of human smuggling?
Yes, so we are aware that there are tourists who come to the Bahamas as bona fide tourists, and they move into the Abacos, Bimini, Grand Bahama with an intention of being smuggled into the United States of America. And so we have maritime surveillance radar. We have maritime surveillance radar in Great Inagua. We have a maritime surveillance radar that will be tested in Ragged Island. And we have asked to fast track one of these maritime surveillance radar into Abaco and Grand Bahama later this year and early next year, so that we can better detect these small ships leaving the western area of Grand Bahama and Abaco. And those radars will greatly assist us with those detection. And those radar sites will be co-located with small boat station. And so we intend to deploy a safe boat in the Abaco. In fact, we have a safe boat station in Abaco for the first time in the history of the Defense Force to interdict, detect, and deter this type of human smuggling.
Is this radar technology very different from, or does it work in concert with drone technology?
It works basically with drones. Once we detect a target, we can send the drone out to give us visual even before we deploy the safe boat, which is cost effective. Rather than just sending the boat out there, the drone will give us determination as to whether that is a target that we need to interrogate.
So then you have a visual reference that you could use as opposed to just radar technology. All right, so I want to talk a bit more about just some of the needs of the Defense Force. The police force has stated that it needs another 2,000 officers. Do you feel, or do you need similar numbers, or how, given an opportunity, how many additional recruits does the Defense Force need?
So we are seeking decentralization to move out of New Providence. And so we're looking at complementing that base that we have in Machuta, Inagua. We have a base at Gunpoint in Ragged Island. We have a base in Abaco and in Grand Bahama. And if we are going to effectively decentralize the organization, our manpower complement now is at 1,800. I would say we would need another 2,000 Marines moving forward to effectively accomplish our mandate at a minimum of 2,000, just like the police.
How do you plan to, or what is the plan then, to vet officers or incoming Marines to ensure that they are the right fit for the Defense Force, they meet the standards? Because for all the great work that you do, it takes one incident in the eyes of the public to set you back with somebody who has gone awry or broken the law. So what is the consideration for vetting these potential recruits for the force?
And I think we do a good job at vetting now. Okay. Our intelligence department. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, people slip through the crack. But, these are sons and our daughters. They come out of the community that you and I grew up in. They are the people that we live it every day.
The Commissioner of Police says the exact same thing. Yeah.
But we continue to move forward. You know, we can't be discouraged.
And along those lines as well, how do you plan to integrate even more technology into your work? Because the reality is a lot of the crimes that are being committed, a lot of the problems that we are facing are really intertwined with technology. And if you're gonna fight crime, whether it be on the streets or on the high seas or wherever, you've got to embrace that technology. So again, back to my original question is, what kind of technology upgrades are you looking to bring to the Defense Force that will aid you in your work?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, we met with a technology expert, and he is introducing to us nanosatellites that will give us real-time imagery of illegal poaching, migrant movements, and that is where we need to move. And these satellites, the prices are coming down. They are cost effective. In June, we commissioned the Drone Academy, and that will assist us greatly. And you would recall a few days after the commissioning of that Drone Academy, we apprehended and interdicted a motorized sloop that came out of Haiti with some 72, I think, or 64 Haitian migrants. And the drone assists us on the shoreline to ensure that persons on that ship did not escape into the bushes. And so we used the vertical lift drones to assist us with that. We have new technology in communication that will help us with our interoperability to ensure that our aircraft can communicate effectively and properly with our ships, our interceptors, and the base. And we're using technology to ensure that we're able to track the movement of our ship so that we can deploy them effectively where they need to be.
Commodore, you have shared so much information with us this evening. I've learned so much. I think the public is a lot more richer for the information that you have shared as we, learn about the ongoing work and the future plans. As we prepare to wrap up, though, I do want to ask you, what message would you like to send the Bahamian public about the Royal Bahamas Defense Force today?
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force is progressive. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force has men and women that are military professional. They are people of integrity. They are hardworking. They are the living spirit, the men and women of the Defense Force. They are the living spirit of the organization. And they can be proud of the work that the men and the women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force are doing and will continue to do to safeguard this country and to safeguard the borders of this country.
Commodore, with that, we are going to wrap up. I want to, again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to learn about everything that's happening. Thank you for sharing so much information with us. And thank you for your service to the many Marines and officers that you represent. The Bahamas is a better place for the work that you do. You keep us safe in ways that we are even unaware of, and I know that from personal experience. And so we thank you. I know that the work sometimes goes unnoticed and may even seem unappreciated. And so I want to use an opportunity like this to thank you and all the men and women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, past and present, for the work that they do on behalf of the Bahamian people. So be encouraged, and thank you, and we hope to hear more from you in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer.
All right.
Thank you, Bahamas.
All right. It has been our pleasure. Well, Commodore Moxie, thank you again for your candor and your service as the Royal Bahamas Defense Force sails into its next chapter. The strength of its leadership will shape the safety and security of our nation for years to come. And to our viewers, we want to say thank you for joining us for another edition of On the Record. Until next time, I'm Jerome Sawyer. Good night, everyone. Fine, sir. Thank you.